Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment of the weekend show brought to you by Holocrunch Popcorn. As we prepare for the 2023 elections, everyone has an opinion and everyone is sharing out their opinion. However, not everyone is lucky enough to retain their jobs after giving their opinions. We will be talking about the role of clerics in advising people when it comes to election. This is on the backdrop of the National Assembly Mosque Zone E Apo Legislative Quarters imam who was suspended and then sacked. His name is Nur Khalid. Also, the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Adeboye, also had some comments about the current administration and the sufferings of the Nigerian people. Now, this has been criticized by some while it has been applauded. We will have the conversation to talk about the implication of clerics having an opinion on elections and politics. Having this conversation with me, I have a communications consultant and a friend, Lami Apojoye. Welcome back to the weekend show, Lami.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for having me, as usual.
Always a pleasure having you. So let's talk about this. When we talk socialization, we talk about the school, we talk about the family, we talk about the media, and a major aspect is religious institutions. They play a major role in shaping our perception, what we believe, and what we do. Is it only fair for them to also, for the clerics to have a say when it comes to politics and governance?
Absolutely, Andy. So in Nigeria, the average Nigerian structure is God, your pastors, who obviously guide us in, knowing the word of God, and then maybe family and government, or government then family. But there's that structure. I mean, if they didn't have a say, Nigeria has the Hajj Commission. We have the pilgrimage commission. So they send people to Hajj and they send people to Jerusalem, for pilgrimage. The second stanza of the national anthem is literally a prayer.
Yes.
We cannot separate them. We cannot gag our clerics from speaking up when it comes to governance, from guiding, the governance. Back in the day, we had the Roman Empire. It was basically them ruling, even before we had all of this. So it strives that clerics, both pastors, imams, traditional leaders, whatever form of leader you are, guide leaders, governments.
So Imam Nur Khalid was suspended and now has been sacked allegedly, but it was interesting to see that a senator actually raised this as a point of order to talk about how the imam could incite public outrage amongst other things, and so, like you said, after God, the government, it really is the religious institutions before the family. And on this show, for the last almost 4 years, each time we talk about insecurity and issues plaguing Nigeria, people talk about the role of traditional leaders and religious leaders. And so when it comes to peace, when it comes to uniting communities, we hear that the religious leaders are extremely important. But we have had situations. I remember when earlier in the year, was it last year, when the current Minister of Communication was accused for having sympathies towards certain sects or insurgents. And there were reports about how sometimes in his preachings he had spoken against the former administration. At that point, it seemed valid. However, do you feel the religious organizations or institutions have too much sway on the people, which could in turn mislead the people as well?
I think that we're even having a good... Remember when during the Trump's election, we had Paula White coming out to expressly say people should, summoning angels from Africa and other parts for people to vote for Trump. We have it easier here. I feel like our religious leaders here even are diplomatic about it. There is no one that bears the grunt of the average Nigerian's hardship than the religious institutions. You have them raising scholarship for children, you have them feeding almajiris, you have them, creating welfare departments for people to get fed when the government cannot do the job that they have been elected to do. And there is no one else that has that has that moral standing to call out governance. You cannot say that he's inciting violence. All he said was provide security. And guess what, Andy? Days after the bomb blast happened on the Cardinal train, that was, I mean.
So it happened after he had.
Yes, after they sacked him, after they told
after
him that.
Comments.
Yeah, after his comments, the blast happened like he saw it coming. We are in a very dangerous, like you said, it's election period. We are going to see the same people that have gagged this cleric coming out to want to be noticed and endorsed by the clerics. You see them wanting to go to redemption camp so that Adeboye can pray for them. You see them running to Shiloh so that Adedepo can pray for them. All of that. They know that religion is the opium of the masses. Is it unfortunate? Maybe. But there's no one else that has the right to speak truth to power than those people that are our clerics and those are our religious leaders.
So elections, especially since 2015 in Nigeria and 2016 in the United States, has been clouded by a lot of misinformation. And you know how it is, you're a social media person, because someone has 10,000 followers, whatever they say is gospel. And then you have some people come out with baseless stories, and then in some cases exaggerations, because the best way to sound smart is just throw some statistics in the air. For instance, 80% of Nigerians oil is lost to theft. I remember Papa Adeboye of Freedom Christian Church of God complaining about how much Nigeria loses to oil theft. But in the same week, I saw some people come up refuting the claim, saying his facts and figures weren't true. And I know it doesn't take away from the point which he was trying to make. How do we now deal with the fact that, remember the case of Mommy Gio? She said a lot of untruths on social media, how she was the one who invented wigs and all whatnot.
Yes, I agree.
And some people will believe, some people are gullible enough to take everything hook, line and sinker. Maybe it's the respect for authorities, but how do we deal with misinformation which will come from the same platforms?
To be honest, there's no. I mean, on this same show, we've had a conversation about fake news and how they can be controlled. There is really no way to gag these people for it, in the right sense of it. But the truth is that if these things were not happening, there would be no exaggeration. And I think that I was on my way here. I heard on radio where somebody was saying that in Niger State they're having serious security challenges. Between you and I, Andy, I've not seen that on TV.
Yeah.
But it's happening in real life. I think that as opposed to focusing on what's really what people are exaggerating, we should actually focus on what the issues are. You and I saw people telling someone to die when Seth was dying on the train. You and I saw when Nigerians were mocking her for saying, "Get me help, I've been shot on the train." You and I saw when Nigerians were saying that nobody died, they rescued everybody on that train, when people actually died. There is actually less information going out there than more, people claiming that there's more misinformation. There's under coverage, if you ask me. There's more of that than misinformation. Why are we focusing on the fact that there's fake news out there of people exaggerating things? When in the real sense of it, people are not even talking enough about these things. There's insecurity happening in Benue State, there's insecurity happening in Niger State, there's insecurity happening here in Abuja, and nobody's talking about it. But every time somebody says something, we're looking for loopholes to see how, it's supposed to be 70%, but you're saying it's 80%.
Yeah.
How is that the exact problem? How is that why are you talking about the semantics of it being exaggerated than it being underreported? Because I think that's actually more of the problem. Can we be sincere with ourselves and say that these things are being tackled the way they should be? That's it.
I do agree with you about a lot of stuff being underreported, and it also comes with almost the fatigue of disasters and issues which people see and face on a daily basis that it's too much to even fit into a news belt. But as we reel this in, going into the 23 elections, what should be the reliable sources of information for people? Because this remains a problem. I stopped tweeting a while ago because I found out that sometimes, yes, we're so quick to respond to issues
Yes.
which we have, and the extra 5 minutes it takes you to take a step back and just listen could be the time where you find out that this may be true or this may not be true. Unfortunately, you watch some media platforms and it's usually an Agungu festival, which you're seeing when there are bigger issues going on, and people have complained about this. But there isn't a lack of information, but there may be a lack of fact checking
Yes.
and credible sources. What's your advice? How do we go about it? I mean, to the people on social media, to the people in the public, how do they take the extra step in fact checking before sharing information, especially in this season?
I mean, to be honest, there's nothing Google cannot fact check for you. I remember that night that, again, I'm going to go back to the train incident. The night that it happened, and people were saying, oh, we're dying. Some people are, we've been bombed. And we're not sure if people died, if they were being rescued, if the Nigerian army were actually there for sure. I remember just being careful and saying, they don't tweet yet. Don't say anything yet until tomorrow morning. Then we'll get the numbers and actual figures. That's really it. As a Nigerian, as somebody who wakes up in the morning, and to be honest with you, I don't turn on my TV. I go on social media. That's what the world is really becoming, especially for the bulk of people in the middle class, and of course, people in the upper class as well. You have to ask yourself, is it time to panic? Can we reel this information in and actually find out what the actual issue and cause of it's the panic, like you said. Nigeria, we're in a constant state of just trying to know what's happening. We're confused. Oh, there's bomb. Oh, has somebody died? Is there this? What's happening here? What's happening there? We need to be sure that we are confirming this news, like you have said. And to be honest, between you and I, it's going to be hard, because you then have the opposition, who some of them claim, oh, they're like, some people said that the reason why some of these things are happening is because PDP are trying to get back in power, and we're like, okay, I don't know that that's what the problem really is. But again, having to confirm from reliable sources. We have AIT, we have channels, we have Arise, we have a lot of outlets that we know that we can get real-time information from. Let's not be quick to report or want to say, oh, I am the one that reported this. Remember during the NSAS, we can't go back there. It was a lot, really, and there was a lot of fake news infused with the real news, and then people then began to, and when that happens, the truth is that it then becomes a case of the boy who cried wolf, right? People then say, oh, that's how you guys brought fake news today, we're not going to believe it. So we need to, as citizens, we need to be, fact check, like you have said, and I guess it will help. But these things cannot be avoided, to be honest.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave it. We will definitely be having more conversations with you in the run-up to the 2023 elections, especially around communication and strategy, because I think this plays a major role. But thanks for always honoring our invitation. And to our viewers at home, we will continue to have this conversation. But I must state that our hat goes to the families who were affected by the Abuja-Kaduna rail incident, the families of those who lost family members, those who were injured, and those who are yet to have been found. We do have more on the weekend show. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly.